Hey, what's up guys? So this is obviously going to be a lot different concept than I usually do on the channel. If you guys follow me and watch my videos, you know I do scripted content and highly edited videos. But this is going to be a little bit different, and it's more of a rant, right? I have a couple of specific topics I want to talk about today, and just because I'm kind of disappointed, I'm going to talk about one of my most favorite game studio ever, and that's obviously Piranha Bytes. The topic of this video is going to be Elex 2, THQ, Nordic, and Piranha Bytes. I have a couple of different bullet points I want to address here, and the first topic would be the release date. Now, I don't know if you heard about this not so popular game that came out a couple of days ago called Elden Ring, right? So you have this small niche game releasing right next to it, and it's almost the similar game genre. It's open world RPG, and Elden Ring is obviously open world RPG, even though it's a lot different game compared to Elex 2, right? Because Elex 2 is more of a story-driven game, and you know what I mean, right? But you have the same genre, basically the same tag, open world RPG. So you have millions of people excited about that game for years now, right? And there you have a game that's targeting a niche audience, releasing so close to one of the most hyped games ever. I would understand if this was some inexperienced team of developers and inexperienced team of publishers, right? But you have THQ Nordic that has a ton of IPs under their belt. Like, I'm looking this game, for example, Expeditions Rome, which they published recently, right? And they have a bunch of trailers for that game with some pretty good views, right? Not on all of them, obviously, but you have a couple of videos over 1 million views, right? And then on the other side, you have Piranha Bytes, which has been around for 20 plus years, right? So you would think these guys would know how to avoid these rookie mistakes, basically. I don't know who had the last word when it comes to the release dates. It doesn't matter if it was THQ Nordic or Piranha Bytes, but whoever it was honestly did a poor job. If we take a look at the marketing campaign that THQ did for Elex 2, it was actually not that bad, even though they only had a couple of videos about the game. But if we take a look at Elex 2 combat trailer, it had almost 3 million views, which was pretty good, right? Especially for such a smaller game, small niche game, right? But other than that, we can only see a couple of more videos related to this game on their channel. Most of them did really good in terms of views, right? You have Elex 2 Factions trailer that had 250,000, which is also pretty good, right? But yeah, story trailer almost quarter million views. And if we come close to the release, they had the release trailer, obviously 3 days ago, that did very decent for such a game, right? Explanation trailer didn't do so well, but whatever, right? But if you take a look at the game like Expeditions Rome, you can see tons of trailers for that game that did pretty good in general. A couple of trailers over 1 million views, right? So yeah, it's not like the game didn't have a good marketing campaign, because even though they had only a few videos about the game, most of them did really good, right? So the interest for the game was there. But the release date, the specific release date, 1st March, was terrible. I'm honestly really disappointed and kind of angry, to be honest, because I'm emotionally invested into this game. I want people to try it out. I want more people to get into these games. But with this attitude and this, I don't know, business practice, I guess I would call it, that will never happen, let's be honest. So yeah, I don't know who thought this was a good idea to release the game so early next to one of the most anticipated games ever. It was... You have this... you have to assume that these companies have serious marketing researchers, marketing team, right? And you assume they know what they're doing. Now listen, I have a very good relationship with THQ Nordic in particular as a content creator. These guys send me review keys. I have a very good communication with them. But to be honest, that doesn't matter a lot to me as a gamer, right? I care about these games a lot more on a personal level as a gamer than as a content creator. So this video could ruin that relationship a bit, I don't know. But honestly, I don't care, because like I said, I care about these games a lot more as a gamer than as a content creator. But to be honest with you, I don't know if this was if this decision was only on THQ Nordic, right? Because Piranha Bytes, even though Piranha Bytes got acquired by THQ Nordic in 2019, right? And you can see that with trailers and with in-game cutscenes and even with the budget in general, right? For example, the voice acting is definitely a lot better than the previous games, and that's the result of a higher budget that THQ Nordic provided them. I can guarantee you that that's the case, even though we don't know for sure, right? If I had to assume, I think that Piranha Bytes had a lot of things to say about the release date itself, right? So, and I know that Piranha Bytes thinks like, we have this loyal fan base that will always play our games regardless of other games that get released, right? That's from one side, that's okay, right? To think like that, because they do have a loyal fan base that will always buy their games and play their games. So, but on the other side, it's logical that you want your game to succeed on a more mainstream level, right? You want to sell more copies of the game. So yeah, if I had to guess, Piranha Bytes also has a lot of things to say about the release dates, even though they have a publisher. Publisher companies are usually handling these kinds of things, the release date and the marketing campaign, right? But I'm also convinced that Piranha Bytes has a thing or two to say about the release date itself. So, and even a very casual gamer can see that was not a good decision, not at all. So what's the actual outcome of that decision? So if you check a website like SteamDB that tracks player numbers on Steam, at least, right? We can see some very underwhelming numbers when it comes to active players and all-time peak players, which is our main number that we're going to watch here. So Elex 2 released on March 1st, like 3 days before I'm making this video, basically, and all-time peak players is 6,000, almost 6,500, right? Which is terrible, to be honest. And if you guys wondering what was the all-time peak for Elex 1, well, you can guess maybe 10,000, right? Maybe something close to this number or lower. Well, let's check out Elex 1. 22,000, almost 23,000 basically. Yeah, 23,000 all-time peak 4 years ago. So basically, shortly after the game released, Elex 1 had 23,000 active players at one point, and even today 24-hour peak is pretty decent, right? So it's a huge disparity between these two games. But if you think like, oh, C4G, it will get better, right? All-time peak can grow as the game goes forward. I don't think that's the case, because none of their games reached all-time peak as the game went forward. Usually what games tend to do is reach their all-time peak shortly after the release date, right? Which is it's the same case for Elex 1, as you can see here. The game released like, I don't know, October 17th, and it reached its all-time peak on October 22nd. So yeah, none of their games reached all-time peak as the time went forward, right? That was the case for Elex 1, and the player numbers will keep dropping. They can get bigger when some DLC release or for some other games, but they don't release DLCs, as you probably know, right? Piranha Bytes don't like to release DLCs, and I highly respect them for that, actually. So yeah, it's not a great situation. It's not looking great for Elex 2 when it comes to all-time peak, at least if we measure the game's success only from this metric, but it's usually not that simple, right? You have to take into consideration a lot of other metrics, but this is definitely one of the better game metrics that you can take for the game's success. Although if you take a look at 24-hour peak, it's very similar to all-time peak, so it might get better, but I don't think it will never reach the numbers of Elex 1. And that's sad, because I think Elex 2 is a lot better game in general. But I don't want to talk about the game in general. I have a full review for it on the channel. It's 40 minutes long, almost 40 minutes long, so you can check that out for my full thoughts about the game, right? And like I said, I try to be objective as I can, but that's almost impossible when it comes to games that you really like. But the saddest part about these metrics and player numbers, we can compare Elex 2 to Resident 3, another Piranha Bytes game that came out in 2014. That game probably had a lot less players playing, right? Well, if you take a look at here, Resident 3 had higher numbers, higher all-time peak. So it had 8,000 players, and Elex 2 has almost 6,500 players, right? Don't get me wrong, this game had a very solid marketing campaign back in 2014, if I remember correctly, but I think it's not that good compared to Elex 2. Even though Elex 2 had just a couple of trailers from THQ, they had some very good views, right? Like I said, Elex 2 had almost 3 million views, which is totally insane if you think about it. So yeah, I don't think the problem is the marketing campaign itself, even though I think THQ could do a much better job with the marketing campaign when it comes to this game. The release date was the main factor when it comes to these low player numbers for Elex 2, and the reason why it's performing so bad compared to their previous games. And yeah, Reason 3, it's totally disgusting, man. If you compare these metrics, it's really disappointing, and I don't know, I think something needs to change in Piranha Bytes' philosophy or in their company, or because like I said, I don't think that THQ Nordic is only the one to blame, right? I don't know, I'm just assuming things here. I'm just a fan of these games, and I'm trying to come to a conclusion by just watching these metrics. So yeah. Another thing I wish to address in this video is how Piranha Bytes is handling the feedback for the game, especially the negative feedback, because the game has some serious technical issues, and most of the negative reviews on Steam are related to either performance or the FOV slider. I assume that they will eventually fix it, right? So yeah, even though I love this studio, I think they have very poor communication with their player base. You have a lot bigger studios that have better communication with fans. So I don't know, that really needs to improve. So if you take a look at the reviews on Steam for Elex 2, most of them are related to bad performance, right, and FOV slider. Some people can't even play the game because of the camera issues and the lack of FOV slider. And to be honest, when I first got the beta key, I had this problem as well, but I got used to it, I guess. I even forgot to mention it in my review because I got used to it, but I still really want an FOV slider, and some people can't even play the damn game because of that. The camera is too zoomed in on Jack's back. So yeah, if you take a look at all of these negative comments, a ton of them only have a couple of hours, and camera movement, position, you know. Yeah, as you can see, almost all of these reviews are related to FOV sliders or the performance, and they still haven't addressed this. And even a simple Twitter post or even a simple community post would do, like something like, yo, we hear you, this will be fixed in the next patch, or you will get this, or you won't because we have technical limitations with the engine or whatever. But the communication is just terrible when it comes to Piranha Bytes and their fans, sadly, right? So yeah, that will be it when it comes to this video. It will have a lot of cuts probably because I'm not used to talking like this without a script. I'm a script guy, and I only had a couple of bullet points for this video that I wanted to address. But the bottom line is I'm extremely disappointed with how these companies handle this game that I love. And I really hope it will get better as the time goes forward, but like I already said, I don't think that's the case. The chances for that are very slim, so I don't expect to see that, but I hope I'm wrong. I would like to hear your thoughts about this whole situation, and do you think I'm crazy or this is a legit critique about the whole situation about Elex 2? Leave a comment down below. I would like to hear your thoughts, definitely, if you even care about this, because like I said, people are too busy playing Elden Ring, and I don't blame them, to be honest. That will be all, and I'll see ya in the next one. Don't forget to subscribe for more RPG contents. If you want to support the channel in the long run, consider becoming a Patreon or a YouTube member. You can get your name on the end credits, as well as some other perks like early access to videos, Discord roles, my plans for future content, etc, etc.